Hello and welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're basically going to go through our farming system is the title of the video probably, and what I mean by that is just in just focusing on the cattle aspect of our farming business or our farming system. So the first thing really is we're a suckler farmer. We do breed cows, we do breed heifers, and they produce calves, as you can see, like this one over here. And heifer calves we tend to keep, try and bull them and use them as replacements, and maybe sell off any older cattle or any cattle that might have some defects, like maybe they might only have 2 or 3 teats, or maybe they're just getting old, or would just sell them because they have a bit of weight on them or whatnot. And if it's bullocks, we tend to keep them for a while, put them out on grass, feed them meal out on grass, bring them back in for the winter. They'll be on meal and silage for the winter, and then maybe around, it's usually maybe springtime or maybe autumn time, like September, when we do bring a lock of them to the mart and sell them. So that's basically our system. That's how we run our things around here. Obviously different suckler farms might have a different way of running things, and then obviously you have your beef farmers, which is a bit different altogether as well, because they're more focused on just fattening heifers and bullocks, steers and cows and all that sort of things, and then bringing them to the factory and putting them into the food chain. So yeah, they're more focused on that aspect, while suckler farmers like ourselves are more focused on breeding animals and rearing the calves, that sort of a way. So as you can see, we have a lot of calves here. Some of them are heifers, some of them are bullocks. When it comes to our heifers, we tend to have them calving when they're 2 years old. So we'll bull them when they're just over a year old, nearing just over a year old, in between a year old and a year and a half old, and we'll have them calving in and around when they're 2 years old. When it comes to them as well, heifers, first time calving heifers, most of the times we would feed them meal, either when they're out on grass or when they're in the shed, depending on whatever the time of year. We only really do that just to sort of build up their weight for bulling them and for calving them, because usually a good weight to bull a heifer at is when they're in and around 400 kg to 450 kg, is be a more safer, nicer weight to bull them in and for them to calve in, because it'll just be a lot easier for ourselves and for them. But yeah, basically that's how we run. We feed some heifers to get them up to weight. We fatten bullocks, but we don't fatten them to bring them to the factories. We just put a bit of weight on them to bring them to the mart. You know, we're not in an intensive meal feeding system here like a lot of beef farmers would be in, where they'd be dosing meal after meal after meal into their animals to get them up to weight as soon as possible to bring them to the factory. We tend to keep our animals for a while. Again, when it comes to heifers, we'll be having them in calf when they're about 2-year-olds. If it's heifers that we couldn't get into calf, or bullocks, we'll be feeding them male and hopefully getting rid of them when they're in and around the 2-year-old year of age as well, that sort of mark. So if there are any bullocks in here, I don't know if there's any from the top of my head, but if there is any bullocks in here, they're in the house now, they're eating silage, they're eating meal. Once they go out onto fields, they'll be eating grass, and they'll also be eating meal. So we'll probably keep any bullocks that's in this pen and feeding them grass, silage and meal until they're about 2-year-olds, and then we'll get rid of them. Now, a lot of heifers or bullocks that we sell are usually a nice decent weight. They're in and around maybe the 450 kg mark to maybe just over the 500 kg mark. So yeah, But now we'll go and give meal to the calves here. We'll give meal to the heifers here, the ones that aren't in calf, and we'll give meal to the teaser bull here. So we'll just go into like details really of how much kg each animal is getting, how much they're getting a day, and then how much each animal might be consuming. So just to make things clear at the start of the video, before we get into the itty-gritty business, we're not in an intensive beef sort of system. We're only suckler farming. We will keep these animals for another couple of years. We'll obviously keep these maybe for another couple of months. We might sell them before they go out onto, before the rest of these lads and girls go out onto grass. So they might be sold in springtime. Or we might keep them, put them out onto grass, continue feeding them meal, and then when they're brought back into the shed, maybe in October, November time, we might sell them then, or we might sell them in September time. But with the way prices are going now in the factories, it's always to do with, if the prices are good in the factories, they tend to be fairly good in the marts as well. If the prices are poor in the factories, then they'll tend to be poor in the marts as well. So we'll go ahead now and first, before we do that, we have our meal over here, which is 303 beef nuts. But we'll get more into that once we start feeding them. But that's basically it. 303 beef nuts. So yeah, we'll talk more about that, the 303 beef nuts and what that's intended for and all that sort of stuff, once we start feeding meal out to the ones that get meal. So yeah, I guess we'll go give the meal, and then when we come back we will then see how much kg they're getting, and then how much kg of meal each animal is getting. So yeah. Okay, so for simplicity's sake, we'll say 1 scoop of this yellow scoop of meal is about 1 kg to 1.5 kg. So for the heifers, we do fill it as much up as possible, but the bucket is cracked here, so we cannot fill it up too much. The teaser bull gets about half a bucket, and the calves get about half a bucket as well. But we'll count the scoops as either 1 kg to maybe 1.5, maybe it's closer to 2 kg, but for just simplicity's sakes, I haven't weighed it. 1 scoop is probably 1 to 1.5 kg. So we'll get a bit of meal from the back, push forward, and we'll start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So as you can see, that's a fairly full bucket there. Cannot fill it too much because it'll go out the crack in the bucket. But that was 7 scoops of about 1 to 1.5 kg. And that's the heifer's meal, as you can see there. We'll crunch the numbers now once we have all fed to see how much kilos they're getting every day by eating meal, but they're also eating obviously roughage as well, and that roughage is in the form of silage, but we'll get more into that later on as well. The calves are the same. They're getting meal. They're getting meal along with roughage, and the teaser bull as well is getting a bit of meal along with roughage. The 2 heifers here don't get anything. There's 3 cows here we want to keep in bull, and then there's 2 cows we want to sell, so we want to separate them so we can just feed the 2 cows that we want to sell meal on their own. We don't want to give any of these too much meal, maybe a small bit, but the bulk of the meal that we want to give to the cows will be these two here. So we have to separate them first before we start distributing even more meal out. So yeah, anyways, calves next, and then teaser bull. So as I mentioned before, the teaser bull gets half a bucket and the calves get half a bucket. So we'll focus on the calves first, and again we'll try and get meal from the back of the bin, push it forward so that we're not just digging at the front and then not able to get at the back. So we'll count the scoops. Again, this is roughly 1 to 1.5 kg. Probably should have measured it, but yeah, it is what it is. We'll just give it in the final summary that if two sort of figures, if it was a kg, and then another figure if it was 1.5 kg. And maybe next year if I do another one of these videos, we'll maybe do it more properly next time. But yeah, we'll count how many scoops go into the bucket, about half full for the calves. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see there, that's roughly more or less half a bucket, and that was 4 scoops. Look at that. So the teaser bull by himself gets around the similar amount to the calves, as in about half a bucket, but we'll probably only give the teaser bull 3 scoops of this scoop, and I'll explain why later on in the video. 1, 2, 3. So it's just 1 scoop less than the calves, but that's more or less in and around, maybe just under half a bucket. And that's how much the teaser bull gets, just for himself. It looks a lot, but we'll get into details now very shortly. So the calves are still eating. The heifers here had finished by the time I was giving the meal to the calves here. So you can see they still have a bit left over, and what I usually do is any bit that comes out this way, push it back in for them. So they're all fed, but first, before we crunch the numbers, we will talk a bit about our meal, which obviously is 303 beef nuts, which is bull beef nuts for top performance in all finishing systems, ideal for intensive systems and creep feeding of younger stock like calves in them. 303 is a cereal based high energy nut. The formulation of 303 allows for intensive feed levels to promote high live weight gain, maximum kill out percentage and excellent grading. So as you've seen there, the heifers got meal. They got about 7 scoops. So if we classify a scoop as either 1 kg, so 1.5 kg, they would have gotten 7 kg to 10.5 kg of meal just there in one sitting in the morning time. So we're only feeding them now once a day, every morning. So a bin of our beef nuts, which is over here, that can hold half a ton, 500 kg. So every 3, that'll last just 3 weeks, so every 3 weeks we'll have to go and fill it. And obviously prices of 303 beef nuts and all sorts of meal fluctuate, so one time they can be expensive, other times they might be a bit cheap. So in and around maybe 200 to 300 euro to fill our 500 kg of beef nuts, 303 beef nuts every 3 weeks. So yeah, that's what and we probably do fill that then every month, you could say. 7 months in a year at 200 to 300 euro. It's not too bad, but when you add in other costs of having to make the silage, paying contractors, buying wrap, buying diesel, servicing tractors, if a tractor needs something else done with it, there's a lot of costs in farming, no matter what type of farmer you are, obviously. So we'll say for simplicity's sake, but it's not going, it's in reality it's not like this. We'll say each heifer ate the same amount of meal, but obviously that's not going to happen. Each heifer, we have 5 heifers here, so they'll eat per heifer 1.4 kg to 2.1 kg of meal per heifer if they all ate the same amount. So that's what they're getting inside, eating silage, and more or less if they were outside on grass. If we have animals outside on grass, we might give them an extra bit of meal. Usually when they're out on grass, we tend to give them maybe a little bit more, and that way they'll follow the bucket as well. If when we want to bring them in or do whatever with them, they're used to getting meal. When they see the man coming with a bucket of meal, they're running towards you. So yeah. Now the calves. There is 5 calves there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So obviously they only got about half a bucket, so about 4 scoops. Again, at a kg or 1.5 kg per scoop, they got 4 kg to 6 kg of meal just there this morning. So they either ate 0.8 of a kg to 1.2 kg per calf if they all were eating the same amount, but obviously that is not the case. But yeah, obviously you can have a look at them as well. They are coming on nicely. Now the teaser bull is the one that obviously is getting the most, because we got him fairly cheaply, but when we got him he was fairly small and fairly thin and fairly light, so we're hoping to either at least break even, get what we got for him, or maybe make a small little bit of profit. Now I don't know what they are going for in the mart or what they're going for in the factories, because obviously we are more on continental breeds, like we're more or less now on limousines, but they're all crossed with different breeds. Like she is a Limousin cross, but there's a bit of Angus in her. So we have a Limousin cross over here, or a Simmental cross. No, she's a Limousin cross, but there's a bit of Simmental in her. So yeah. Anyways, and again with her, she is a Limousin cross, but there's a bit of Angus in her as well. So you know, we're Suckler farmers. We're more or less Limousins or Limousin cross, but I don't know how well Friesians do in marts and factories, because we don't really tend to have them around the farm. So our teaser bull here, he got 3 scoops, so that's that's for either a kg or 1.5 kg weight of a scoop. That he got in between 3 kg and 4.5 kg of meal just there, which obviously meant himself ate 3 kg to 4.5 kg of meal in the morning. So that, you could say that's classified as intensive meal feeding, because he's getting a lot there. But again, I think Friesians have a more intake capacity than continental breeds. I think I read that somewhere online. I could be wrong, but I think they do have a slightly bigger intake capacity than other breeds. So, but I don't think they tend to put on as much weight as fat. Their live weight gain mightn't be as good as continental breeds. Again, I don't know, because we don't tend to have Friesians on the farm. This is our first time. So yeah. So if you are a beef farmer, the maximum length of finishing period for heifers is between 60 and 80 days, a maximum. So that's about that's 2 to 2.5 months of feeding them meal and silage and whatnot for the maximum length of finishing period. Steers is 70 to 90 days, so that's about, you know, three months. And then bulls up to 100 days, preferably 80 to 120 days, maximum length of finishing period. Now, how much concentrate will animals eat? So On average, animals will eat about 2 to 2.2% of their body weight per day. Friesians have higher intake capacity than continental breeds, so I did see it somewhere. We have a Friesian, one Friesian, and the rest of them are continental breeds. Supplementation rates of 10 to 13 kg fresh of concentrate feeds would be accepted in this system. For example, a 600 kg animal would eat 12 to 13 kg of concentrates plus roughage. So we'll have a look at our heifers here. If we were to follow that table of animals eating 2 to 2.2% of their body weight per day, our heifers, will say, starting with 450 kg, because I assume some of them would be in and around that target, would eat 9 kg to 9.9 kg of concentrates plus roughage per day. And then for a 500 kg heifer, because some of them might be in and around the 500 kg region, they'd eat 10 kg to 11 kg of concentrates plus roughage per day. So, and when you look at what we were giving them, we were giving them 7 kg to 10.5 kg, but that was between the 5 of them. So I'm recording the video on the Wednesday the 5th of February. So let's have a look at the factory prices that I've been keeping an eye on for the last 3 weeks. So the first one is between the 16th of January and the 23rd of January, so it was that week. You can see that heifers were €6.03 per kg, steers were €6.01 per kg, cows were €5.56 per kg, and bulls were €5.62 per kg per animal over the last 12 weeks chart, the national average. You can see the national average price for heifers have been steadily going up in price. Between the 21st of October, they were around €5.40 a kg. To the 6th of January, they were in and around the €6 a kg. So a nice big jump there. And obviously you can look at the national price for steers. Back on the 21st of October, they were about €5.35 a kg. Now they are €6 a kg. So they've been steadily going up as well the last couple of weeks. And now the factory prices between the 23rd of January and the 30th of January. You can see for heifers, it's €6.11 per kg. For steers, €6.08 per kg. For cows, €5.59 per kg. And then obviously the bull's price went down a small bit. They're gone down to €4.98 a kg. And when you look at the national average price, you can still see for both the heifers and the steers that they're still steadily going up. So when you look at the prices for the animals between the week of the 16th of January and the 23rd of January, and the week of the 23rd of January and the 30th of January, heifers had an increase of 8 cents per kg, steers had an increase of 7 cents per kg, cows had an increase of 3 cents per kg, and bulls had a decrease of 64 cents per kg. So now we're moving on to the week of the 30th of January to the 6th of February. You can see heifers are €6.24 per kg, steers are €6.21 per kg, cows are €5.79 per kg, and bulls are €5.74 per kg. And obviously the national average for the heifers and the steers are still increasing. From the week of the 13th of January and the 20th of January was probably the sharpest increase there shown on the chart, a more steeper line for that week. So prices definitely soared in that week. So again, looking at the week of the 30th of January to the 6th of February, we can see that heifers had a 13-cent increase, steers had a 13-cent increase, cows had a 20-cent increase, and bulls had a 76-cent increase from the following week. So yes, the prices in the factories are very, very good, very good. A lot of, between the heifers and the steers and all that, it's just over €6 a kg, but obviously that depends on a lot of different stuff. That's just the national average. Depending on the factory that you go to, prices might be different, and then obviously your grading as well. So you have your E, U or OP, and then your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that grading scale as well. So depending on where you lie on that, your prices will be different, and depending on what factory you go to, your prices might be different. But the national average is over €6 a kg for heifers and steers, which is not awfully bad. And when the prices are good in the factories, like you just seen there, they tend to be fairly good in the mart as well, when Suckler farmers are selling their heifers and selling their steers, and the beef farmers are buying them off them. The prices are probably good as well in the mart, although I haven't seen prices in the mart lately. But usually 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, if the prices are good in factories, the prices are going to be good in the mart. But anyways, yes, you've seen our farming system and how we run things on our farm in particular. Different Suckler farmers do things differently, but this is how we do it on our farm, our system. And we've been doing it for years, and it's worked pretty well. Every time we want to sell a bullock or a heifer or whatnot in a mart, we tend to always get good prices as well, but we also tend to sell them when prices are good in marts. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, that is going to be the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.